right, I think I'm live for another new comic book weekly. This time for January 19th, new comic book day. We're talking about the new comic book day for January 21st, of course. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about my pull list. Like every single week, we'll get into what I'm pulling from my local comic book store. And then we're also going to talk about the comic books from last week that I want to review. I think there's like 8 here, right? So we got some DCKO stuff. We have some Ultimate stuff as well. And then we have just a bunch of indie series, some stuff from IDW like TMNT, Beneath the Trees and Nobody Sees. We have some Energon Universe stuff with G.I. Joe and Transformers. Transformers there with Dan Mora doing the artwork, Robert Kirkman writing. And then we have some Ghost Machine stuff with Geiger issue 20. And then last but not least, we got Die Loaded issue number 3. So those are the comic books we're going to be reviewing here in a second after we talk about the pull list. And of course, we got to talk about the big topic of today. We're going to look at CBR. They did a top 100 list, a top 100 list of comic books that came out last year for new comic book, 2025. And so we're going to take a look at that top 100 list and see if we disagree with it, see what the vibes are. I heard a rumor that they put Absolute Wonder Woman like kind of lower than it probably should have been. So we're going to take a look at that right after the pull list, of course. Shout out to people in the chat. We were talking about Chewy Queso. He says, "Good afternoon, everyone. Hope all is well." Oh yeah, it's a holiday, dude. MLK Day. Hopefully, everybody. If you had the day off, hopefully you're having a good one. Southside Ronan in the chat, of course, saying, "What's up? What's up, y'all? Love from Chicago." Shout out to Southside Ronan. Thanks for joining. Okay, so let's talk about the pull list for January 21st to Comic Book Day. We've got 8 comic books on the pull for a total of $37.92. That's not that expensive, guys. I talked about it in past new comic book weeklies, but I try to stay under $50, right? So $37.92. That's pretty decent. Steven Patterson 5635 in the chat says, "Good evening, everyone." And yeah, so just under $40. We're loving it. Let's see. What's the pick of the week? A lot of banger series from Image Comics. If we look down there, some pretty good stuff from Marvel. Got some decent stuff from DC as well. So let's talk about Captain America #6. I think this is probably the pick of the week. It's been a little bit of a hiatus. They finished their first arc, and I'm just loving everything Chip Zdarsky's doing. Valerio Schiti is on the interiors. Let me just make sure. Okay, this one we're having a little bit of an art switch up. We've got Delio Diaz coming into the art with Frank Alpizar. We'll have to see if that's the creative team for this entire arc. Let's just go ahead and check that real quick. Yeah, so it looks like they're sticking around for a little bit. That's all right though. Haven't seen the art, haven't seen any previews, but I've just been loving this Captain America series. I think it's off to a great start, even though it does like like another super soldier type of thing. Maybe people are tired of stories like that, but I think that Chip Zdarsky handled it really well. That David character, pretty compelling. So yeah, Captain America, looking forward to that. Seth the Tech in the chat saying, "Hey." Meyer HQ in the chat saying, "Been reading old stuff from the 80s and the 90s, and the writing," oh wait, wrong button. "And the writing was so much better. Wolverine and Spider-Man specifically. Cap is the book to read this week." So Meyer HQ in the chat agrees with me that Captain America #6 is the pick of the week. Let's stay along those same lines, right? Because from Marvel as well, we got Fantastic Four #7. Of course, this is Ryan North, Humberto Ramos continuing their series. And we know that the arc that they got right now, it's like Galactus is trying to reach out and communicate with the Fantastic Four, specifically try to reach out to talk to Susan Storm. Pretty interesting what's going on here with Ryan North's Fantastic Four series. I'm loving the fact that I jumped on with this new volume. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this Fantastic Four series as well. One of the highlights from Marvel for sure. It's just like good fun sci-fi wackiness that Ryan North excels at. And then I think that the Humberto Ramos interiors are really, really solid. So yeah, loving this Fantastic Four series. Looks like we get plus the Junior Fantastic Four, so that could be pretty fun as well. And after this, we're going to talk about some DC stuff after I catch up with the chat. Southside Ronan says Cap is going in. Pick of the week for sure. Southside Ronan agrees with me and Meyer HQ that Cap is the book of the week. Set the Tech says, have I read a comic based on every state? That's a good question. I know that it's cool seeing My State of Maine getting some love in the Exquisite Corpse series. Audio is super low for me. AirPods maxed out. Still can't hear you. All right, we're gonna try. We're gonna try something. We're gonna try something. Um. All right, so the decibel, it always is, dude. You guys don't tell me this, dude. Gain is low. If I turn the gain up, I mean, we can try it, dude. All right, gain's going up. Gain's going up just a little bit. There's also a setting here in all right, like if I turn this to 3, does that change anything? Hello, hello? Let me know. I can see your gain knob, it's all the way down. No, you don't want to crank it all the way up because then you would hear that helped. Okay. So I turned the gain knob a little bit and then I adjusted the setting in OBS. That I turn up the so let's I don't think I want to crank it all the way up. I feel like then you would pick up like everything that's going on inside my mouth. Um Nah, because you have plugins in OBS. I don't have plugins in OBS for noise filtering, unfortunately. Uh yeah, unfortunately I do not. That sounds pretty cool that I should install those. Anyway, so if my volume sounds better, let me know. Um Now we're hitting -10. So that sounds pretty good. I think I'm hitting yellow, right? Sounds good now. Ethan Johnson says, "What's up, Cody? Love the vids. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it." Southside Ronan says, "Sounds good now." Meyer HQ, it's really easy. You can right click. Mike and she said add plugin, but you're good, brother. Not trying to stress. Yeah, I'll look into that after. I appreciate the help, Meyer HQ. We'll look into that for sure. Audio is definitely my weak point, just in terms of videos and stuff like that. Like I don't do any audio processing at all when I post a YouTube video. If it sound like having things dip down in volume, like the music and stuff, I just learned how to do that, right? So we're learning. We're learning. Uh, Chewy Queso says we're loud, not too loud. All right, all right, sounds good. Dude. More clear for sure. Okay, thank you guys, appreciate it. Yeah, always learning. Yeah, if you guys have any issues with anything going on here tech wise, definitely let me know. Always trying to do the best streams that I can do, right? So, all right, let's keep going with the pull list, dude. Meyer HQ says audio is the most annoying thing to troubleshoot. Absolutely, especially because I'm not monitoring my own voice. That's on me. All right, so let's talk about some of the DC books before we get into all of the indies, because Image Comics is having a big week. But let's talk about Wonder Woman 29. So a lot of people are mad at Tom King. They say they don't like the Wonder Woman series. It's probably a surprise to you guys that I've been enjoying it quite a bit. There's the whole Mouse Man stuff, right? If you don't like the Mouse Man arc, I get it, but I really think this is like the highlight of the series for me. It's Wonder Woman going in to save an entire island full of people, like freeing them from this evil person. It's like a mini Warworld saga, right? So I thought it was excellent, but we do have Stephanie Williams and Jeffrey Spokes coming in to do a little 2-issue arc on Tom King and Daniel Sampier's Wonder Woman. So I'm excited to see what Stephanie Williams brings to the title. Maybe in the future, it would be cool to get Stephanie Williams and Jeffrey Spokes to be like the main creative team, having a woman write Wonder Woman. That could be pretty cool. But yeah, so we're just looking forward to this little 2-issue arc, seeing what they got going on here. Let's talk about Nightwing, number 134. So Nightwing, we know, has been kind of plagued by this villain called like the Zanny or something like that. And so this guy's pretty bad. He's been kidnapping a bunch of children, kind of luring them into his evil carnival tent. And yeah, the Zanny's a bad guy. Nightwing went into the Zanny's sort of dimension with the help of Martian Manhunter, got him into the dimension. So Nightwing, this is probably going to be a little showdown issue as Nightwing is trying to save a bunch of children. And yeah, we're loving what Dan Waters is doing. I think that Dexter Soy is officially off the title, and we're going to be getting, yeah, I would imagine for the next issue as well. Oh, next issue is Dexter Soy. So that's going to be the last Dexter Soy issue, I think, before Dennis Cohen comes in starting with issue 136 and becomes the main artist for the title. So it does stink seeing Dexter Soy, leave the title, but we got some great issues with Dexter Soy all the way throughout. And Dennis Cohen's a legend, so Dennis Cohen coming in, pretty excited about that. But that's the Marvel comics and the DC comics that are coming out for New Comic Book Day, January 21st. Let's talk about some of the Image comics, because like I was saying, it's a pretty big Image comic week. We mentioned it earlier. Let's talk about Exquisite Corpses. Stephen Patterson says Tom King definitely appears to be like Marmite, some love, some hate. Yeah, definitely. I'm a love Tom. I'm on the love side of Tom King, but if you got some valid criticisms, I'll listen to it and I respect it. But I feel like a lot of people just hate Tom King just to hate Tom King because like the cool thing, and they can't even really articulate why they hate Tom King. Anyways, Exquisite Corpses, issue number 9 coming out this week. James Tynion IV written. Tyler Boss also lending some of his writing talents on this one. Michael Walsh, of course, with Valentine D. Landro doing some of the assists. And I've been loving this Exquisite Corpses series. It feels like the series is coming to an end, but I think it's still got a lot of like I saw that Michael Walsh posted issue number 12, the script for it, or he's working for the art on it. So this series is gonna go on for a little bit. Yeah, dude, we're excited for Exquisite Corpses to continue. Battle Royale horror type of series, focusing on a bunch of these just crazed killers. And there's sort of like a bracket style that's been going on. A lot of the killers have been, slowly taken out. And I think that we're down to, I could be wrong. I don't have it on me, but I think we're down to like the last 4 killers, I think. But yeah, Exquisite Corpses continues to be a fun series. Let's catch up with the chat here in a sec. Meyer HQ says, lol, facts. Meyer HQ says, they just saw a tweet, lol. Yeah, that's what happens. I feel like on TikTok, especially, they hate Tom King. It's crazy. Tom King made me love Kite Man. I love that. Khalid Fahad says, hey, how are you, dude? Off topic. When it comes to like completely new readers, can I just hop onto books like the new Cap Run and the upcoming DC Next Level without reading or know way too much beforehand? Yeah, so that's a pretty complex question, Khalid. It's kind of tricky getting into comics. You say, by the way, love the content. Really makes the comic industry much more simple and organized for new comic reader. Hey, I really appreciate it. That's a really nice thing to say. That's kind of my goal with the whole channel. You know what I mean? Trying to break down the comic hobby, and it's like I'm so passionate about it. Trying to share that passion with others. I would say that, it's definitely so like the examples you brought up, right? The new Cap Run. You can start the new Cap Run, Chip Zdarsky issue number 1. That's a great place to start. You could potentially even start with this week's new issue coming out for Captain America, issue number 6. That's the start of the next arc. So it's like, how much is Chip Zdarsky going to borrow from that first arc? We don't know just yet. But in theory, the new arc is a good place to start. To jump on at least. Maybe you can go back and read when you get the time, right? The upcoming DC Next Level, those are all supposed to be great places to start. Those are all going to be issue 1s, right? So the video I posted today, if you guys caught it, I was talking about my most anticipated comic books coming out in the next couple months. A lot of those were DC Next Level. Those are all issue 1s. Deathstroke is going to be issue 1. Lobo, Batwoman, Fury of Firestorm, and what's the other one that I've just got announced? Oh, Zatanna by Jamal Campbell. So all of those are going to be issue 1. In theory, those are all great places to start. Same thing with all the Vertigo stuff. Those are all going to be issue 1s as well. So yeah, it's kind of tricky to find where to start, but from the examples you've listed, I think those are all great places to start. Like you can go back and read Matt Fraction, Jorge Jimenez, Batman, issue 1. Like that's a place to start. A great place to start. That just started, right? So yeah, it depends on the series, but just in general, I would say just jump in, man, because you can always go back and like read stuff that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I would say just jump in, man, and just start reading comics and having fun with it. You can always go back and read some stuff that doesn't make sense. Ethan Johnson says, started reading comics in 2025. First single issue I ever picked up was Escape 1, then watched your reviews that week. Mr. Miracle is intriguing to me. Do you have a favorite run of his? Of Tom King, probably, I imagine you're talking about. Yeah, dude, so Mr. Miracle, is excellent. I really like Gotham City Year One. I really like Human Target. That might be my favorite Tom King series besides Superman Up in the Sky. That's got to be my favorite Tom King series, but also favorite Superman series of all time. Khalid says, thanks for the answer, man. Yeah, absolutely. Any questions you got, especially as a new reader, I know it can be pretty overwhelming. I only started in 2022, so I'm not that long time reader compared to some people in the hobby. Steven clarifies, yeah, Tom King. Yep. Sounds good, dude. Yeah, yeah. Um the stream is quickly becoming Tom King fan club. Yeah. I actually haven't read Tom King's Vision, so I gotta read that. All right, so back to the pull list, right? So we talked about exquisite corpses. Let's talk about assorted Christ events. So this is a series written by Dennis Camp. He's just killing it over on the Ultimates, over on Absolute Martian Manhunter. And then Dennis Camp's got a new series coming out called Bleeding Hearts that's coming out soon from DC Vertigo. But we're excited about this one. It sounds like a homeless comic book artist falls into the gutters. Can Wally find his way back to life and reality, or is he lost in the blank white space between panels forever? So this one's gonna be really meta. A story about a comic book artist. Some timey-wimey sci-fi stuff happening to him. So excited about this. Sword of Christ Events has been a favorite of mine, especially from Image Comics. An excellent series all around, great creative team attached. And yeah, definitely check out this one. This is a great series because you can just start reading it. You don't need to know anything previous. You can just start reading issue 8. The whole setup is that it's an anthology series. So each issue is it's a brand new story that you can just start reading. And yeah, dude. Paul Dev says sounds like Truman Show, but in comic form. That's sick. Yeah, Paul Dev. I'm expecting some meta weirdness in this issue. Yeah, Dennis Camp just killing it. Really, really impressive stuff. The Power Fantasy issue 15. You guys know that this is my favorite ongoing indie comic series. Favorite Image comic series for sure. Kieran Gillen and Casper Wingard are just doing some incredible stuff with this one. The entire story is focused on these super powerful people that have the power. They each have the power to destroy the world, but they're kind of at like a standstill, kind of like a Cold War. Like, hey, if you try to kill me, I'll try to kill you, because we all have these crazy powers. It's really, the last couple issues have had some really surprising twists and turns. And so we're in the thick of things. It seems like this character, Eliza, is featured here on the cover. She's going to be cracking sometime soon. We know that in the past, the last like 3 issues or whatever, one of the characters was pretending to be God, speaking to her all the time, trying to keep her calm and like, yes, yes, my child, God's listening to you. Like, because if he didn't, she would just kind of pop off and like demons would come out or whatever her power is. It's like crazy. So yeah, I think that she's gonna start to crack because that person who was pretending to be God isn't alive anymore. So no one's pretending to be God for her, and we're really worried about what's gonna happen. And yeah, dude, Power Fantasy, it's a really good series, really underrated. I don't hear enough people talking about it. And then finally, the last pull of the day, Everything Dead and Dying, issue number 5. This will complete Tate Bromwell and Jacob Phillips series. This is the last issue, and we hate to see it go, but what an amazing journey all throughout. Really emotional. It's not like your typical zombie story. It's totally, totally different than other zombie stories that have come before. This one has so much emotion attached to it. As we see this guy who's just holding on to this life, but in the zombie apocalypse, it's just impossible to hold on to that life. He's finding out. So Everything Dead and Dying issue 5 will close out the series there. And if you haven't checked it out, definitely pick it up in a trade. But those are the comic book pulls for the week. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, especially from Marvel. You guys know I don't pick up too much Marvel. And yeah, so that's the pull list. 8 comics for $37.92. And yeah, we'll be sure to do the pull list next week. You guys know we're always doing the pull list. Alrighty, that was the pull list. You guys know I split this up, right? If you're watching live, you might know, but I split this up into its own video later on throughout the week. So that was the pull list. Let's get into the comic book reviews of the week. So this is all the stuff that came out last week for, what was it? Last week for January 14th. Let's see here. We got DCKO. Excellent issue there. We're going to be reviewing the Ultimates as well, right in the middle of their Ultimate Endgame event. Excellent issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that we're going to talk about. So keeping it going with IDW, Beneath the Trees Nobody Sees. We got some great stuff from the Energon universe. We're going to talk like G.I. Joe, the end of the Dreadnought War. Transformers continues to be incredible. And then we got some stuff from Ghost Machine like Geiger. And speaking of Kieran Gillen, we have his Die Loaded series, issue 3 that he's doing with Stephanie Hahn. So that's the order of reviews for today. Let's talk about DCKO. All right. So hold on. We'll catch up on comments. All right. Then we'll get into DCKO. So Ace Kwando says Ace has been so good. Anything Dennis Camp is good. Rom V as well. Two of my favorite writers. I think they're having a really impressive couple of years. I mean, honestly, but Dennis Camp took over 2025. That was his. And then, yeah, Rom V, consistently great series. Paul Dev says, sucks the trade got delayed until May. It was supposed to be out in March. Is that for Assorted Christ events, or is that for Captain America maybe? Steven Patterson says, do I enjoy binging a series or reading singles? I read a few series as they come out, but sometimes forget where they left the story. Must be getting old. Sometimes a series is better read in a binge. I don't blame anybody for saving up, 3 or 4 issues to read in a binge. I'm pretty much caught up on all my single issues right now, which is pretty cool. So I can just read stuff as they come out. But definitely some series are better read in a binge. Mostly I keep up with it like that because I cover it for the channel. But yeah. Have I tried Ghost Pepper? I've not read Ghost Pepper yet. I heard it's really good though. Everything Dead and Dying. Oh, the trade got delayed. That's pretty rough. But it's still going to be a great read. Yeah, that's a rough delay. Damn. Because I really want everybody to read it. But I guess from March to May is not the worst delay. Could have been worse for sure. But yeah, so let's talk about, let's do some comic book reviews, starting with DCKO, issue number 3. And listen, minor spoilers, or I guess kind of, I'm not going to lie, major spoilers, all right? Because we got to get into it. We know that this one was the final 8 were featured in this fight. And we know that, yeah, it was the final 8. Yeah, it was the final 8, and they got to team up with whoever they wanted from the tournament, except for the Joker. He has the most Omega energy, so for some reason he can pick any character in all of DC, and we find out that he picks Mixpiddlix, Mixaplix, I don't know how to say it. And then, yeah, I think everyone else had a really fun set of fights. We know that Hawkman or Aquaman picked Hawkman, so they try to go up against, who do they go up against? Oh yeah, it was Lex Luthor versus Lex Luthor and Supergirl. They try to go up against, and I thought that the Superman fight was actually really interesting. We saw that Guy Gardner picked Hal Jordan, and Hal Jordan, the item he brought into the event, into the DCKO event, was the thing that makes you dream of like a better world or whatever. So he tried to just take Superman off the board. We know that Wonder Woman teamed up with Big Barda. That was so fun to see, as we see like Wonder Woman lassoing Big Barda and like throwing Big Barda at Cyborg and Connor Hawk. And yeah, so I just, DCKO just continues to be a super fun series. Really loving everything DCKO right now. Everything DC in general, I mean, let's be honest, but DCKO is so fun. Initially, we thought Joker brought in the Joker who laughs, or whatever this guy's name is, I forgot. But it turns out that wasn't the case. It was actually, he's playing 5D chess and became Emperor Joker, if you guys have read that series. And then we know that at some point, Shazam combines with Superman. That was such a crazy moment. Let's see if I can get to that point real quick. Yeah, one of my favorite moments of the years, so far. We're not that far in, but so sick, dude. Like, okay, so little details, right? Like this Superman's wearing earrings, bro. Like, it's so sick, bro. It's so sick. So yeah, really fun event so far. And then we know that the absolute characters are coming into the universe. I take this as maybe it's in the absolute universe, right? But it's the future of the absolute universe that Darkseid has control over. Because if you look, right, this isn't the absolute universe characters we know and love. they're all kind of twisted and kind of evil, right? So yeah, the Absolute Universe characters are coming, but I have a feeling they're not the ones that we know and love. But I guess I could be wrong. We'll have to see. So yeah, DCKO continues to be a fun event, and it sounds like everybody is loving it in the chat at least. Like we got Khalid says, been picking up some DCKO. It's my first DC event. It's really cool. It's obviously confusing, but it's been making me want to read more of the all-in level. Vactor teaching me how to say mix yes spitlick. Mix yes spitlick. DCKO has been way better than I thought. Yeah, dude. So like Khalid, as your first ever DC event, you got kind of lucky, bro. Honestly, because DCKO is pretty sick. As a longer time reader, not like a long time reader, but I've read Lazarus Planet. I've read some really weird events like Night Terrors or I don't even know, bro. So yeah, DCKO compared to all that stuff is pretty sick. Vactor's been liking DCKO Night Fight. That's been a good one too. All the alternate versions of Batman. Alrighty, so let's keep it going with the comic reviews by talking about the Ultimates issue 20. We know that the Wasp betrayed her team in the last issue. It turns out she's been working for Nick Fury the whole time, but she's been triple backstabs because she's actually been working for the Vision the whole time. We know that Hector, what's his name? It's not Hector. Whatever the Human Torch's real name is, right? So he was sent back in time by Iron Lad, and he's been slowly over the years setting the foundation for the Ultimates like rise. It's crazy. Like that revelation from Dennis Camp, I thought was so smart, dude. The Human Torch, the original Human Torch, is actually the Vision in this universe and been setting up things in the shadows this entire time. Like, people that would be influenced by fascist tendencies. He's like, no, that's not good. That was like what Hitler did. So it's like little things like that have added up over time to slowly stop the spread of the Makers like ideology and stuff like that. I thought it was genius, bro. And then you get into the part where Nick Fury, he's been fighting this war against the Vision this entire time, a secret war. So Dennis Camp drops that this is the version of Secret War in the Ultimate Universe. This Vision who's like Antifa to the core, fighting Nick Fury throughout all of time. So sick. And then we get to the part where the Wasp frees everybody. So we know she's back on our side now. And she's on the side of the Ultimates. And then we get the twist of this version of Rhodes, who's in the War Machine, which is actually just a giant mech, the city of Detroit fighting back, dude. So this series is awesome. I love the changes from Dennis Camp. Some really just smart stuff all the way across the board. I think Dennis Camp, it's just an example of, Dennis Camp just killing it again and again on this series. The Ultimates is really good. It's been my favorite Ultimate series. I think it's confirmed that now. Ultimate Spider-Man, it's too up and down, man. It's too up and down, and I'm not a fan of Messina on the art because you don't get the Kaketo on the art. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the Ultimates has been way more consistent for me. So yeah, Ultimates issue 20, excellent issue to an excellent series, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Dennis Camp and the gang close out the Ultimate Universe. Let's catch up with some comments, dude. Paul Dev says Absolute Power was solid too. Yeah, true actually. Absolute Power in terms of events was really solid. Derek Seaborn says, what's up, smiley face? What's up, Derek? Thanks for stopping in. All right, let's talk about some of the IDW releases from last week, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Issue number 14. This is the second issue, I believe, of Jin Lewin Yang and Freddie E. Williams taking over the title. The first part was pretty cool. It's all the different turtles. They're kind of splitting up, but they're focused on protecting some of their enemies because this mysterious villain, as we see on the cover here, his name is Ujigami. This guy here, he is trying to take out all of the the villains of the turtles, as we see here. So the turtles feel like they need to protect their own villains because this guy is just going around just killing them all, man. So crazy stuff that's going on. But we know, and sorry if this is a spoiler, guys, but we know that the Ujigami is actually Master Splinter. That's a crazy twist. So Master Splinter is this killer dude, but he's doing it for love. We find out someone's maybe twisting Master Splinter and like forcing him to think that if he kills all his enemies, then she'll be coming back or something like that. So we'll have to see if that ever comes to fruition. But I feel like Master Splinter is getting manipulated, right? And the turtles try to go to protect the current leader of the Foot Clan, and she's being protected by Bebop and Rocksteady. So we see them get introduced into this arc as well. There's a scuffle. The Ujigami actually does appear and tries to kill the leader of this Foot Clan. So the Ninja Turtles have to team up with her, Bebop, and Rocksteady to fight off this Ujigami guy. And yeah, dude, I'm just loving this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles run so far from Jin Luen Yang. At the very end, Splinter comes back, potentially, but something's not right. So, of course, they go and they hug him, but in the back of everybody's minds, it's like, hey, this isn't right. I mean, Master Splinter is dead. Like, we know that for a fact. What is going on here? So, yeah, a lot of cool questions being asked from Jin Luen Yang. I think the art is really strong, too. I was worried about that because you get Juan Ferrero, right? It's so excellent. This is not quite up to that level, but I think the Freddie E. Williams art with the coloring from Andrew Dollhouse, it was really excellent. Like you can tell that Andrew is really dialed in specifically. Let me find a good example. Like the use of primary colors. So like Bebop and Rocksteady, they share some of the blue, purple, orange, and reds that the Ninja Turtles have. I just thought that was kind of clever. As we see, like you'll turn the page and it's dominated by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like primary four colors. So yeah, I'm loving the art in this series. That was the thing I was most worried about, but they got us covered here. Continuing with the really fun Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series. That's been a really good one. Dennis Camp had an amazing 2025. Did I read Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion? Yeah, that was really surprising as well. That might be like a super underrated part of the Ultimate universe from last year. Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion was pretty fun, actually. Derek Seaborn says, keep an eye out for A Mischief of Magpies by Simon Spurrier. Okay. I'm not the biggest Simon Spurrier fan, but I do try to keep an eye on what he's got coming out. Paul Dev says, so glad I jumped onto the series here. Definitely need to go back and pick up and read the Jason Aaron stuff when the second trade is out. Yeah, they're a little, well, I guess it was a couple months ago, so they're not that late. But yeah, it kind of, yeah, you got to be caught up. It's not maybe so important in this current Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff to be caught up because it seems like they're not borrowing so much from Jason Aaron stuff. But yeah, still great stuff to read when the trade is out. Southside Ronin says Beneath the Trees was a banger this week. That's our next review, so let's talk about it. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This is the second to last issue before they close it out, before Patrick Horvath just closes out this, potentially closes it out for good. As we see our main character, things are things are starting to catch up to our main character Samantha. All her murders in the past, right? We know that this sister of one of the characters that was murdered in the first volume by Samantha, the sister has come to town looking for her brother, and Samantha is oddly enough trying to help the sister, help the sister find her brother's remains. Kind of like a sadistic, kind of toying with her food, it seems like Samantha to the sister. But yeah, it seems like everything is kind of catching up to Samantha. The cops are coming to her place of work, and she decides to sort of burn it all down, kidnapping the sister in the process. So what's going to happen in the last issue? I'm not sure. I was trying to keep that as spoiler free as I could because I really do think that this is a series that most people would get a kick out of reading. It's got great art style from Patrick Horvath, and it's going to be a surprising ending, I'm sure. So I don't want to spoil it too much. But yeah, definitely read the first volume of this before you read the Rite of Spring. That's the second volume, or else this is not going to really make a lot of sense. Definitely read the first volume first. All right, let's talk about some Energon Universe stuff. Wrong button. Let's talk about some Dreadnought War. Had a really fun conclusion in G.I. Joe issue 17. This was an excellent issue. We know that the Cobra Commander, he was about to be attacked by all the Dreadnoks. He says, hey, First off, I mean, Cobra Commander just went savage with his chainsaw, just cutting people up like crazy. And he says, "Hey, listen, I'll make a deal with you guys. Work for me, right? Work for me, and I'll get you guys all the money. You guys like partying." And so Cobra Commander teams up with Dreadnoks. The GI Joe group, they have to go in and potentially kidnap Cobra Commander because Duke has questions for Cobra Commander. He's got a lot of questions for him. So that's kind of the goal. And we see this fight break out. But a surprising thing happens at the end of the fight. We know that one of our G.I. Joe members is in possession of a transformer. Or not in possession, but a transformer is working secretly with one of our Joe members. And surprising the rest of the G.I. Joe. They didn't expect that at all. And yeah, Cobra Commander gets away like he always does. And the team is kind of left, you know, dang, Cobra Commander got away. We'll have to get him on the next one. So just a great issue of G.I. Joe, ending the Dreadnought War. The twist at the very end, we find out that our main dude, who's been kind of leading the G.I. Joe or being the sort of like military middleman between Duke and the military, this guy is actually a member of the. I don't know who Zartan is. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I don't know. This twist was probably hit better if I knew who Zartan was at being a big G.I. Joe fan. So if you're a big G.I. Joe fan and you know Zartan, that was probably a crazy twist. But for me, it was just a crazy twist to know that this guy is not actually on our side. We'll have to see what happens in the next issue of G.I. Joe. Awesome stuff, man, from the Energon universe. I think this is my favorite part. Transformers is still good, but I think G.I. Joe is my favorite part. Let's talk about G.I. Joe real quick. Transformers real quick. Getting all mixed up. I thought this was an alright issue. It's just like more of the Transformers are all like warming up. They're kind of getting things ready. They're healing all their people, getting ready for the next battle. And we know that the battle is coming because the Decepticons, they're kind of savage, dude. Like we know Megatron's a bad guy, but he just crushes this Autobot's head with his hands and just starts drinking all his blood, drinking all of his drain his spark, and is gonna bestow upon him a permanent death. So Megatron is just going crazy, man. And he is close to all the Decepticons are getting ready to attack the Autobots. So expect a big battle in the next issue. Fun stuff from Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora. It's just kind of weird because the last couple issues, it's like not a ton has happened. I feel like that's the Robert Kirkman sort of style, though. Like every issue, not a ton happens. Let me know. Am I crazy in saying that? I don't feel like that's a common theme with Robert Kirkman stuff. Let's catch up on some comments. Derek Seaborn says our Soot Stained Heart issue 2 is pretty good. Still need to check that one out. LD Wheeling, yo, dude, what's up in the chat? LD says this Dreadnought War arc was amazing. Dude, from an art perspective, Dreadnought War was insanely good. I just think that it's a fun idea, like Duke and Cobra Commander potentially teaming up. So yeah, dude, Dreadnought War was fun all the way throughout. Great stuff. I like the stuff that came before in G.I. Joe, but I think Dreadnought War took it to that next level. And yeah, just really was a ton of fun. Let's talk about this Geiger series, man. So Geiger issue 20, a great place to start, by the way. So if anybody wants to start reading Geiger, you can start with issue 20. It was kind of like a reset point for the series. So we know that Geiger was split up from the rest of the gang in the last issue. He was doing some stuff at like a prison or whatever. But Barney, his two-headed dog, was able to return Geiger's carbon rods that he needs to stay under control. So Barney just, ran away from the main group and just went to find Geiger as I don't know how Barney's able to do it, but he's able to locate Geiger like wherever he is. And so Geiger and Barney are reunited, and Geiger's kind of going through it again. He's kind of saying like, I tried hanging out with this big group. Things keep going wrong. So I think I'm just going to try going solo again. Me and Barney. That's how it was at the start. And he's kind of saying, maybe that's it for Nate. And I'm not going to hang out with Nate and Zigzag the zebra anymore and stuff like that. So pretty sad stuff from Geiger. But he gets interrupted, all his sad moping, by this guy. This guy's name is the Northerner, as we see on the cover. He's like a time traveler, dude. I didn't catch the Northerner's origin in Redcoat. Like I'm behind on Redcoat. So he's a character from Redcoat, but he has been transported into Geiger's time, and Geiger and him just kind of have this back and forth. At the same time, we know that Nate, the Nuclear Knight, now he's riding Zigzag, so that's badass. He's riding Zigzag like a horse. Um, we know that Junkyard Joe and Dr. Molotov, I think that's Dr. Molotov. Yeah, it must be. They're still, split off from Geiger, like I was saying. So Nate and the rest of the gang, their goal is to go find Geiger. We'll see if that happens in the next couple issues. But cut back to Geiger and the Northerner just talking about how for some reason the Northerner is getting all this extra help from a mysterious person. Kind of just, the Northerner can send out a signal and say, hey, drop me weapons in this time. And then for some reason, the weapons just appear. So someone's helping the Northerner out. And we know that the Northerner has to go on a mission. I forgot where they're going. They're going to a specific place. They're going to Detroit. So Geiger's like, hey, I didn't want to go on any missions, but I guess I'll go on this mission with you, this little side quest. And yeah, so Geiger, he's about to go beat some people up when the mysterious person helping the Northerner drops a time tank. So I guess Geiger's got a tank now. So I'm loving this series. Geiger's super fun. And like I was saying, a great place to start. This starts the next arc, I think. So you can start with Geiger issue 20. The last comic that we're reviewing today is Die Loaded issue 3. Man, quickly becoming one of my favorite ongoings right now from Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans. You need to read Die, like the first volume, but it's really interesting seeing the different characters from that first series. It's not the main cast from that first series. It's like all the, like the mom of the Saul in the first series. We have the wife of Ash in this series, and we have the daughter of, forgot her name in the first series, but one of the daughters whose name is Molly. And so Molly is in this now. So it's all the other characters from the first series, not the main cast that we know. This is Saul's mom. And it's interesting because all the different roles in Die, the roles are the same, but now there's just different characters taking up those roles. So we know that Ash's wife is now the person who makes deals with all the gods, the God Whisperer, I think. And we know that Saul's mom is the new dictator, so she can command people and make them do whatever she wants, but only one person at a time. That's like one of the rules of Die. Anyways, right? So as I'm flipping through, you guys are seeing this excellent artwork, but it is very much a continuation of that first Die series. I don't think you can start reading this and know what's going on. It might be kind of confusing, but man, just Stephanie Hans, incredible artwork. The colors in this are all just so beautiful. Every page was a treat to just kind of take in, right? And I'm loving where it's going from a story perspective. And yeah, Die Loaded, it's just excellent stuff from Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans. Definitely recommend it, but only if you've read that first Die volume. But that's the comic book reviews for the week. This is all the stuff that came out last week. Definitely, though, the pick of the week, I've just been liking DCKO, man. So DCKO is excellent. Hope you guys had a great week for comic books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Let me know if I missed anything to review. Let me know down in the comments. While you're down there, like if you liked, subbed if you love. It'd really help out the channel. Alrighty, if you guys are watching live, it's now time to do the big topic of today. So we're going to take a look at how long have I been streaming? All right, so we're going to take a look at the CBR top 100 comic books of 2025. We're going to see if we agree with the list, see if we disagree with the list. I'm sure we might be disagreeing quite a bit, and we're going to kind of fly through it, right? So I'm not going to talk about what the series is about. I'll try to keep it just my thoughts on the series, and that's how we're going to get through it, because there's 100 things to talk about. And yeah, dude, let's get into it. So let me know as I'm going through if you agree with any of these placements, if you disagree with any of these placements, and let's get into it, man. So like I was saying, it's the CBR top 100 comics of 2025. Terrible web browsing experience. Just a ton of ads. It's awful. Okay, anyways. Top 100 comics of 2025. Let's get into it. So they start off with Absolute Green Lantern. Pretty low on my list if I were to rank it. Very kind of disappointing series, not going to lie. Have not read number 99, The Count's Secret Maid. Speed Racer, I've heard is really good, and it's cool seeing it get a placement on the list. Yeah, I gotta catch up with that Speed Racer stuff. You guys know Kai Bucks featured on the channel a lot. Kai Bucks really likes the Speed Racer series. Vactor in the chat says he caught up with Absolute Green Lantern, loving it. You know, it's kind of stinks because I did think it was getting better, but not good enough to stay on the pull list. So I did drop it, just like I dropped just like I dropped number 97, Superman Unlimited. One of the series that a little bit disappointing. I kind of wanted it to affect the rest of the DC universe a lot more than it did. I'll have to catch that one on DC Universe Infinite. All new Venom. Okay, were people pissed at that one? All new Venom at issue number or at placement number 96. I feel like everyone was mad at that Venom series for a while, so very interesting to see it placed. Invincible Universe Battle Beast at 95. Okay, that had some hype behind it when it was coming out. You guys know I've been loving Wonder Woman, so that's no surprise. That would probably land on my list, although some people might not like that, like hearing that. X-Men. X-Men, okay, so X-Men getting some love here. Pretty low, though. I would expect X-Men to be a lot higher, typically, right? Okay, we got some stuff from Viz Media at 92. Oh, dude, Spectrum. Really excellent series from Dave Chisholm doing the artwork and Rick Quinn doing the writing. Really mind bending. It's kind of like Everything Everywhere All at Once. So if you're into that, definitely check out Spectrum. Absolute Flash, one of the most underrated stuff at DC. The last like 3 issues have been really, really good. A lot of Star Trek stuff. Have not dove into the Star Trek comic book series, but I really love the Next Generation. I've been watching that, but yeah, haven't watched any of the comic books, or haven't read any of the comic books. Same thing with Rick and Morty. Have not dove into the Rick and Morty comics. DCKO at 87. That's a good placement. I like that a lot. So yeah, like we were saying earlier, just a really fun event out of DC. Really kind of surprising how much I'm loving DCKO. Storm at 86. I feel like that's low. From what I've heard, people are loving the Storm series. So I feel like that's kind of low. I don't know. We got Lost Fantasy at 85. I'll be honest with Lost Fantasy. I wasn't loving it mainly because of the art. And I don't know if it was because Kurt Pyers, the writer of the series, he sent me some issues to look at prior to the series coming out. And I was just like not a fan of the art. So that's kind of what took it down for me. So I didn't end up pulling the series from Image Comics, the Lost Fantasy. So LD Wheeling says thought Battle Beast would be higher with all the hype around it when it dropped. Yeah, I feel like, dude, after issue 1, the hype around Battle Beast just dropped off a cliff. Like nobody talks about that at all. Which is crazy too, because it's Invincible Universe. You'd think the Invincible name would like, have some hype behind it, but I literally hear nobody talking about it. All right, continuing with the list. 84, we got Skin Breaker, a series that's been a little disappointing from a story perspective. I think the art from David Finch has been incredible. But yeah, the last issue, I'm really confused about where it's going. Superman 83, one of the most underrated stuff coming out of DC. It's been super fun. I think Josh Williamson has a real grip, a real handle on a fun Superman title. You get great artwork in that as well. You get some great stuff from like Dan Mora always does great stuff in the Superman title. He always stops in, right? So yeah, it's been fun, the Superman series all throughout. So that's a really good placement there. Paul Dev says Battle Beast has been real great though. I'm surprised by that. Yeah, so that is surprising from Paul Dev in the chat. Have not been reading Housekeeper of the Dungeon, another Star Trek series there with Star Trek red shirts. The Future is Fucked, I think is what it's called. Haven't read that one, but I heard pretty good things. Getting into the top, breaking the 80s. We're in the 70s now with Supergirl, Sophie Campbell, I believe, writing and drawing that one, with Tamara Bonvillain, I believe, doing the coloring. So Supergirl getting some love there. Everybody's excited about the movie. Space Ghost, I have heard good things about. I think, what is his name? David Paposi is writing that one. And he's been killing it, I've heard. So I got to read some Space Ghost at some point. The Seasons out of Image Comics is one that I'm behind on. Ended up dropping it because I was going to catch it on. It's free with like my library, right? So I'm trying to read it there. And then you guys know I have a pretty big Rick Remender collection. So I would like to collect that, have something on the shelf for the Seasons. Maybe at some point when they do like a deluxe edition or whatever, right? We got 76. We got Uncanny X-Men, so some more X-Men love there. The Color of the End. That looks pretty cool. Powers 25. So yeah, I heard Powers was coming back from Brian Michael Bendis, right? I don't know anything about Powers, but I did hear that it did come back, and CBR's got it in the top 75. Vinland Saga, a classic series. I'll be honest, I didn't know it's continuing still, so that's a cool pick for 73. Imperial, that series out of Marvel, all the kind of cosmic stuff that's going on over there. Event Horizon Dark Descent. I think Event Horizon's like an older movie, kind of like a cult classic sci-fi movie that got a pretty good prequel comic book series, I think, out of IDW. Escape at 70. Sorry for yelling. Did that hurt your guys' ears? Dude. Oh my god. You can't put Escape at 70, bro. I'm actually livid right now. I'm actually livid. My eyes are going to start watering, dude. Oh my god. Okay, listen. You guys at CBR? Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Hold on. Hold on. All right, we're going to write down every injustice, okay? That's like egregious. Egregious. Escape at 70, bro. Okay, so you're going on the list. Got my by the way, I got a Snoopy pen, by the way. Anyways, yeah, so we're gonna write down everything that pisses me off, and that definitely pisses me off. All right, let's keep it going. Turning the Mad Dog into a Genteel Lord. Okay. Plague House, another great one from Dave Chisholm, doing the art for that. Pretty good horror series there. Some good stuff from Mike Mignola and Dark Horse Comics. All right, let me catch up with the chat, dude. Cody is outraged. Yeah, dude, I'm pissed, man. I'm pissed. That's crazy. Paul Dev, they will be hearing from Cody's lawyers, dude. I got them on the line. LD Wheeling says crazy. Also, red shirts being higher than KO is redonkulous. Yeah, dude. Because that's the thing, dude. Now you're saying if you get Escape at 70, everything above it has to be better than Escape, and you already make the mistake. Like I loved Plague House, big fan of Dave Chisholm, but it's not better than Escape, bro. It's not better than Escape. Are you joking? Anyways, keeping it going, dude. Bowling, yeah, Mike Mignola at 67. It rhymed with Takai. So that is a bio, I think. The Moon is following us. Got some Daniel Warren Johnson, Riley Rosmo love in here. Superman Treasury 2025 Hero for All. I liked it. It was a great one shot, but really putting it on the list, like above Escape, bro. Anyways, Magina Into the Deep. Black Canary Best of the Best. That was an underrated. We were talking about Tom King earlier. Black Canary Best of the Best was really good. Some people see it and they're like, hey, it's maybe an example of Tom King's misogyny or something, like showing women on women violence or whatever. It's part of the story. I mean, it's a tournament to fight. She's a good fighter, and it's part of the story. So that critique never rang true for me. I thought Black Canary Best of the Best was really good. Don Da Don from Viz Media. No Man's Land out of Image at number 60. Another Star Trek. This might be the last Star Trek here, I heard. I heard there was 3 on the list, so I think that's the third one there. Star Trek The Last Starship at 59. Beat It Rufus. Didn't read that one. Oh, okay, cool. Some love for Distillery. White House Robot Romance was my favorite Distillery series of the year, so it's cool seeing that get a ranking there. 56, I Want to Be Your Girl. I got some Canon. Twilight Zone at 54. Okay, that's pretty interesting. I haven't heard one way or another if people are liking this Twilight Zone series. I was initially going to pick it up being a fan of the show, but I'm just like, dude, for an anthology, you have to really be good. Like, you got to be really good. And it's not going to be better than Assorted Christ Events. I think that's got my anthology placement on the pull list. There is some cool Frank Avila. He has like a series of connecting covers for the first 5 issues, I think, of Twilight Zone. So I got to go back and pick that up. I think that could be cool. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to pick up the entire Twilight Zone series. Maybe just some variant covers here and there. Southside Ronin said No Man's Land was good, but not better than Moon is Following Us. That's what I'm saying, dude. And obviously, it's whoever made this list opinion, but we like poking fun. Number 53, you're going Batman Deadpool, bro. Listen, at least you're doing the Batman Deadpool and you're not doing the Deadpool Batman. I will say that. I thought that the Batman Deadpool was way better, but not better than Escape, bro. Anyways, I can't keep saying that, but that's the most egregious one. Number 50, so not even breaking the top 50 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. 51, we're going Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's kind of surprising to not even get in the top 50. But at number 50, we got Ryan North's Fantastic Four. That's a pretty good placement. Maybe, again, a little bit low because that's probably my second favorite Marvel series right now. Maybe like third out of, like it probably goes Captain America, then it probably goes The Ultimates, and then it goes Fantastic Four, I think. Excuse me. Clear my throat real quick. Ultimate X-Men, one of the underrated series out of the the Ultimate universe right now. The more I catch up with Ultimate X-Men, the more I'm really surprised by how much I like it. I think Peach Momoko is just killing that. One Punch Man, Transformers at 47. That might be low for a lot of people. That might be pretty low. Keeping it going. Amazing Spider-Man at 46, bro. That's crazy. I can't say anything because I haven't been reading it right, but that just feels wrong. That just feels wrong. For this to be higher than Ryan North's Fantastic Four, I don't know about that, bro. How are we feeling in the chat? Paul Dev says Amazing Spider-Man over Escape, above Escape. Everybody's pissed. Like LD Wheeling, he's pissed too. Southside saying he's pissed. Or he's not saying he's pissed, just saying whoa, right? So, yeah. Amazing Spider-Man at 46. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'll write that down. That's not as egregious, but it's pretty egregious. ASM at 46. All right, keeping it going, dude. Justice League Unlimited at 45. That one's interesting to me. It's been like a series that has so much potential. I thought that first arc was so good, but then you immediately threw it into the We Are Yesterday crossover. And I'm like, dude, this crossover was kind of lame. I kind of hated it. And then you're bringing it back to the coolness with the terrific 10 stuff that's going on with the DCKO tie-in. So yeah, if we can get past DCKO and they can get back to that first arc, like how epic it was and how much it felt just like the show, we can get back to the greatness for Injustice League Unlimited, I'm sure. But 45 is pretty high. Some more manga there. Absolute Superman at 43, bro. Come on, man. That's not right. That's not right at all. That's not right at all, dude. Absolute Superman at 43. You're going on the list, man. That's crazy. Absolute Superman is a top 25 easily, bro. Easily. That's crazy. People hated Tim being Batman Beyond as well, I've heard. It could be. Chris Gonzalez, dude, just might be a corporate shill. Could be. But man, Absolute Superman at 43. That seems crazy. We got some bio for George Lucas. Okay. The Young Person's Guide to American Fascism. I'm sure that's really good. Southside Ronan said, "This is nuts, lol. I wonder what the top 10 looks like." Paul Dev says, "Don't think this guy likes Jason Aaron much." I know, dude. Yeah, true. We'll have to see if like Bug Wars even makes the list. This place kills me. Captain America at 38. Glad to see it on the list. Glad to see it higher than ASM. But man, that feels low. I feel like Captain America's top 30 for sure. Damn, man. Home on the Horizon. Hello, Sunshine. Okay, so Bug Wars at 35. So probably the highest Jason Aaron project of the year going. Bug Wars. All right. Top 40 for sure. So I agree with that. Batman Dark Patterns at 34. All right, now you're starting to piss me off even more because that was like my favorite. Okay, we'll write that down. But here's the thing. If Batman and Robin Year 1 is higher than Dark Patterns, I would agree with that. So, but Batman Dark Patterns lower than 30, bro. or higher than 30. That doesn't sound right. That like hurts my stomach, dude. Top 10 is going to be just Paramount Plus ads. Southside Ronin saying top 20 and 25 for sure. I know, dude. I'll keep it going. Wait, did I write Dark Patterns at 20 at 34? All right. Jujutsu Kaisen, Exquisite Corpses at 32. All right, man. We'll have to see if there's higher image comic series, but Exquisite Corpses should be top 15, I think. Um, we're taking everyone down with us. All right, cool seeing that get some love at top 30. That's cool. That's cool. Batman at 28. All right. Okay, now I know. All right, dude. All right. One World Under Doom at 27. I didn't even read that shit, dude, but I knew that shit was garbage. Let me know in the chat. Am I wrong in saying that? Is that too much of a hot take? Am I speaking out of my ass? Do I not know what I'm talking about? Because I feel like One World Under Doom at 27, that's insane. That feels insane. LD says that's crazy. Southside Ronin saying shilling for sure. That seems egregiously insane. No, I'm correct. Derek Seaborn agreeing with me. Paul Dev says, wonder if Batman and Robin Year One will even make the list, dude. At this point, I'm wondering that as well. Not top 30 at all. So Southside Ronin. Yeah, people are agreeing One World Under Doom is ranked way too high. Yeah, keeping it going. We got Spectators, that series from Brian K. Vaughan. I've heard mixed things. I know that Vactor in the chat is pretty big fan of Spectators, but some people hate it. So I still have to read it. I think that was going to be one of my February reads. Chris Gonzalez says, feel like we should have different lists for independent IP, superheroes, and anime. Definitely, I didn't know this going in. I thought this one would only have Western stuff and not have manga, but it's a lot of manga as you guys are seeing as I'm scrolling through. Yeah, 60 spots above Escape. Anyways, Everything Dead and Dying. Okay, cool. You're starting to win me back a little bit. This was a great Image comic series. It's finishing this week. I think the last one's coming out. Oh, and this is good. You guys were mentioning it, right? Batman and Robin Year One. Okay, cool. It's cool seeing that break the top 25. Okay, so we're starting to win me back a little bit. Okay, cool. We got some great stuff from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, of course. I didn't read The Knives quite yet, but I got to get to it at some point. I like that they're continuing with Criminal. It's really cool. Out of Alcatraz. Okay, so I like this one out of Oni Press. Great stuff from Tyler Crook on the art. Christopher Cantwell writing this one. Great stuff out of Oni Press. So yeah, that's a good placement. Top 25 for Out of Alcatraz. Spectrum, the Kryptonite Spectrum, sorry. This one being top 20 is kind of crazy. I like the way it ended. I thought one of the issues out of the four, or it was five, one of the issues out of the five I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I do think it's a good Superman series. Very All-Star Superman inspired, if you're into that, like the Silver Age kind of wackiness. Definitely check it out, but top 20, a little uneasy on that one. Beneath the Trees That Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring. That's a good pick. Good placement there. Top 20. I agree with that. Keeping it going. Ultimate Spider-Man at 16. All right, so now you're saying that Ultimate Spider-Man was better than Batman Dark Patterns at 34. You're saying it's better than Escape at 70. I don't agree that, bro. I don't agree with that Ultimate Spider-Man being that high. And then they got Absolute Batman, just the annual, at 15. That's kind of weird, just placing the annual. Agree that it's a great issue, but if we're talking, I don't know, I would have just put maybe Absolute Batman, I guess. I don't know. That's weird. Ginseng Roots, that's a Craig Thomas series. I got to read that. One Piece. The Power Fantasy, almost top 10. Just outside of it at number 11. Paul Dev says, I'm a defender of Ultimate Spider-Man, but over Batman and Robin Year One and Dark Patterns is crazy. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, at least, you can't be having that. That's just where it gets egregious. But yeah, cool seeing the Power Fantasy at number 11. They're agreeing with me that it's definitely underrated. Absolute Wonder Woman at number 9. I thought this one would be number like top 5. Absolute Wonder Woman at number 9. Your next 8 literally have to be bangers. Like they you cannot miss from here on out. So I'm gonna write Absolute Wonder Woman at 9. Your literal 8 through 1 have to be better than Absolute Wonder Woman. Let's see, dude. Let's freaking see. You got the Ultimates, all right? So I'm loving this one. Not better than freaking Absolute Wonder Woman, that's for sure. But I'm glad that the Ultimates, maybe a hot take, but I'm glad it got a higher placing than Ultimate Spider-Man. It is cool seeing Dennis Camp getting that love for his work on the Ultimates. I think it's really good stuff. My second favorite Marvel title right after Captain America. Spent, not familiar with that one. Absolute Martian Manhunter at number 6. So they're liking Martian Manhunter versus Wonder Woman. Can't fault them on that. But even Absolute Martian Manhunter should be top 5. I don't know, dude. I don't know. All right. We're getting my stream's my stream's a little laggy, but I'll just assume you guys can hear me and stuff like that. Not familiar. We got a lot of manga up here. Absolute Batman at number 2, bro. Absolute Batman at 2. Yeah. I don't know about that. Absolute Batman at number 2. That's crazy. Higher than Absolute Martian Manhunter, higher than Absolute Martian or Absolute Wonder Woman. I don't agree with that at all. That's crazy. That's crazy. And then finally, let's see what the number 1 pick is. What are we guessing? I'm guessing it's probably Assorted Crisis Events because I haven't seen it yet, and I think that needs to be on the list. Okay, cool. All right. All right. So your top 10, Assorted Crisis, Absolute Batman, Absolute Martian Manhunter, The Ultimates, Absolute Wonder Woman. At least those are in your top 10. Yeah, I would say overall, and then yeah, you got Power Fantasy in there. I would say overall, not the worst list in the world. All right. The big egregious ones are not having Absolute Batman. The big egregious ones are having Batman and Robin Year One so low. That's kind of crazy to me. Everything Dead and Dying should have been higher. One World Under Doom should have been way, way lower. And then Dark Pattern should have been higher. Captain America should have been higher. Absolute Superman, that's probably where I guess I would put it. ASM is way too high. I can guarantee that. And then Escape being 70 is like the really egregious one. So yeah, overall, I would say not the worst list, right? Not the worst list, all right? So I love doing that, dude. I love doing top lists, top 100, top 10. So you guys will know we'll be doing a lot more on the channel. That was really fun to go through that live and talk about it with you guys. So yeah, let me know how you thought about that 100 list. Is CBR totally off the rocker, or do you agree with most of their placements? Let me know down in the comments. While you're down there, like if you liked and subbed if you loved. And if you really like it, you can hype it. Really helps out the channel. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching, of course. And yeah, as we're closing out this new comic book weekly, shout out to LD Wheeling, shout out to Jars Emporium. Thanks for coming out, dude. Thanks for Paul Dev for coming out as well. Chris Gonzalez for coming out. LD Wheeling, yeah, dude. Derek Seaborn, yeah. Thank you guys for coming out for new comic book weekly. Some more questions before we sign off. Their list was off, says Derek Seaborn. Chris Gonzalez says, any snubs that I noticed? Honestly, not a lot of snubs. I think that everything I would have mentioned got a nod somewhere on the list. Like we were saying, some stuff that was egregiously too low, but not many snubs. Paul Dev said you argue that Transformers are pretty low too. Yeah, that seemed pretty low. Like not even in the top 50. Yeah, it's definitely too low. I was surprised that Absolute Batman wasn't one, to be honest, with how hype it has been. Yeah, seeing that at number 2, I agree Absolute Batman should be top 10, but man, better than Absolute Martian Manhunter and Absolute Wonder Woman. I don't know about that. Dennis Camp with 3 top 10s. Dennis Camp is the man, dude. Dennis Camp is the GOAT. Dennis Camp, that was his year for sure. Yeah, Dennis Camp with 3, right? Because Absolute Martian Manhunter, Assorted Christ Events, and then the Ultimates were all top 10. That's right. Yeah, so shout out to everybody for coming out to New Comic Book Weekly. You guys know I'm doing this every single Monday around 4 p.m. We like to do our weekly pull list, our weekly comic book reviews, and then we talk about one big old topic with excuse me, with you guys, the audience. I don't know what we're doing next week. I think by next week the DC solicits will be out, so we'll probably do some DC solicit stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for coming out for a New Comic Book Weekly, and catch you guys in the next one and read more comics.